An extremely fragile and poor defensive setup, and a forward line that looks harmless unless someone produces a moment of magic. These are the things people point to when they talk about bad coaching. That is the story being told after yesterday's loss against Manchester City. It was truly a game of two halves. City were clearly the better team in the first half, but after the break we completely changed the momentum. We turned the game around, pushed them back, and even took the lead through a thunder strike from Szoboszlai. For a moment it felt like we were about to close the game out and walk away with all 3 points. Instead, everything flipped again, and we somehow ended the night being even further away from a Champions League spot. Guys, this is starting to get serious. As defending champions, this season is quickly turning into a nightmare if these inconsistent performances keep showing up. This match alone proves how much we can swing within the space of a single 90-minute game, never mind from one match to the next. So if you really missed this game, or if you're trying to understand what really happened out there, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and let's jump straight into it. Like we said earlier, this was a game of two halves. We made it through the first half for 2 main reasons. Our defenders were constantly throwing themselves in the way with last-ditch blocks, and Manchester City's attackers never really clicked together. Their movement was off. Their passes did not quite connect, and that gave us just enough breathing room to stay alive. Let us break down exactly how that first half played out. Right from the opening minutes, Slot made it clear that we were going to press City high up the pitch. We set up in a 4-4-2 high block that quickly turned into a man-to-man press on the ball side. The idea was to disrupt their build-up early and force mistakes. However, City were more than ready for this approach. You can see them calmly moving the ball between their centre-backs and the goalkeeper, patiently drawing our press higher and higher. By doing that, they invited our line to step up and quietly create space behind us. At the same time, City overloaded the middle of the pitch. O'Reilly stepped inside while Semenyo tucked in as well. This movement pulled Kerkez away from his position and dragged him into central areas. As a result, Haaland was left isolated against Van Dijk on the right side, which was exactly the matchup City wanted. From there, their plan was simple and effective. They went long when needed, used Haaland as a reference point, and then looked to release Semenyo into the space that had opened up around him. It allowed them to bypass our press and move the ball forward quickly. We did have moments where we won the ball back high up the pitch, and those situations showed what the press was supposed to achieve. The problem was that we could not turn those recoveries into real chances. On top of that, City were also able to play through and around our block on the ground, which made it even harder for us to control the game during that first phase. Here you can clearly see City doing what they always do by overloading the midfield. At the same time, Milos is still following Semenyo into the central areas. That movement forces Gakpo to drop a little deeper, and because of that, their centre-back is able to step forward and receive the ball with very little pressure on him. Now look at what this leads to. Van Dijk ends up acting like our left back because he is tracking Haaland, while Kerkez is basically playing as a centre-back. Our entire back line gets stretched and pulled out of shape. This is where City's front line trio actually let themselves down. Despite controlling large parts of the first half, they lacked the sharpness and the connection needed to really punish us. Their passes were often overhit, sometimes they chose the wrong option, and the timing between them was just not there. For all the control that they had, they did not really deserve to be rewarded because of how poor they were in the final third. It is also important to point out that our defenders were often the real heroes during this period. Time and time again, someone in the backline stepped in at the right moment, made a crucial interception, or won a key duel. Those defensive actions are a big reason why we managed to survive the first half without falling behind. In the second half, things finally started to look different. We switched up to a much simpler approach without the ball. Instead of waiting for specific pressing triggers, we went man-to-man straight from the start. That decision forced City to go long far more often than they did in the first half. With our back line continuing to win the first contacts, our midfielders were able to react quickly, collect the second balls, and keep the pressure on them. We also improved when we had the ball. In the first half, we went long far too early and far too often. We were not brave enough in possession, and at times it honestly looked like we had not even prepared properly for this game. After the break, that changed. We started to take more risks, play with more confidence, and hurt City in transition. One clear example was when Alisson picked out Salah with a long pass, which led directly to that big chance that Ekitike should have done better with. Even from our build-up, we started to move the ball much more smoothly. In this situation, you can see us using a narrow shape to build from the back, deliberately inviting City to press us high and through the middle. Our double pivot also stayed narrow and central at first, but as the ball was played, Gravenberch drifted out wide into the open space. Ryan did really well here to protect the ball under pressure and then recycle it back to Szoboszlai. This was clearly us trying to copy what City had done to us earlier. We wanted to draw their press in, tempt them to commit numbers, and then play through it. That is exactly what happens when Konate receives the ball and breaks City's lines with great forward pass. From that moment, you can see how disjointed City's press becomes. Their backline is pinned deep, and once we break through the first line, we overload their defense with numbers. This whole sequence ends with Wirtz taking a poor shot that Guehi manages to block. If that move had finished with a goal, we would be sitting here talking about a coaching masterclass rather than another frustrating result. We managed to ride that momentum and keep piling the pressure on City as the minutes went by. And then Dominic, Gerrard, Roberto Szoboszlai, or whatever you want to call him, produced a goal of the season contender. A ridiculous strike that left City's keeper rooted to the spot, doing nothing but watching the ball fly in. The good news was obvious. We were ahead. The bad news was what came next. We dropped deep like we were trying to protect a 1-0 lead against prime Barcelona in a Champions League final. On top of that, it took far too long for Slot to bring on Jones, who was badly needed to help us keep the ball and defend the lead through possession. That hesitation allowed City to slowly turn the pressure back on us. Their equaliser came after they spent long spells camped in our half, and it also exposed a clear issue: Szoboszlai is not a natural fullback when defending crosses, and that is exactly how Silva managed to stay onside and score. As for the second goal, we are not even going to break it down, and the reason is simple. It is the same old problem we have seen over and over again. Our midfield gets pulled apart in the mid-block, and our backline struggles to organise quickly once we are forced into a low block. Go back and watch the goals that we conceded against Burnley, Galatasaray, Chelsea, and so many others, and you will see the exact same patterns repeating themselves. The game ended with drama, and we wish Dom didn't attempt to stop Haaland from scoring the third, because the red card he received will hurt us 10 times more than the third goal we would have conceded. That moment pretty much summed up the night. A game where we showed quality, fight, and clear ideas, but once again we walked away having punished ourselves more than the opponent did. There were positives, especially in the second half, and it would be unfair to ignore how well we played in that second period against a title contender. But football does not reward good spells. It rewards control and consistency, and that is where we keep falling short. Dropping deep too early, losing control of the ball, and failing to manage key moments is becoming a worrying pattern. These are not issues from one game or one opponent. We have seen this story before, and that is why frustration is growing. The margins at this level are small, and we keep finding ways to be on the wrong side of them. There is still time for things to turn around, but changes need to happen quickly. Smarter game management, braver decisions, and better use of the squad will decide how this season is remembered. That's it from us today. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And yeah, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more.